Nollywood, originally referred as Nigeria film industry, which has been subjected to several controversies. The term Nollywood has allegedly become ethically divided. In 2012, it marked the 20th year after the release of direct-to-video movie Living in Bondage in 1992, which arguably marked the boom of the video film era.
It was called Nigerian home video industry when it started. Of course, history has it that the commercial drive of Nollywood started in 1992 with Living in Bondage.
So when people ask me how it started, I just tell them that it was just a group of business people that stopped selling, where they were importing VHS that were selling to use to dub American films. When the marketers say, okay, instead of going to, this is a new thing now. When we import this VHS, we can usually do a few films, use it, dub it and sell it. If we sell it, go. If we don't sell, we'll still sell our VHS. Use it to dub American films, Rambo and Schwarzenegger.
Well, let's start by saying there was no industry in the past. What we had were TV stations. And TV stations, especially the NTA, was the major, harbinger of productions. In the past, video production was basically a pneumatic tape affair. Pneumatic tape, most people don't even know what it is. But we used to have pneumatic cameras with pneumatic tapes. And that was how television was introduced into this country. It came on Cine initially, reversal. I know the NTV, WNTV and so on, were using that. But my generation met pneumatic tapes. And most of the early productions, such as Cockerel at Dawn, were done on pneumatic tape. First Tax 77 was recorded on pneumatic tape. So pneumatic was the in thing at that point in time. There was evolution of technology, and pneumatic was phased out with the introduction of Betamax and the VHS machines and tapes as well. It gradually evolved, and we moved to the time of DV, digital video. With digital video, technology became more rapid, more easier to carry, mobile, and today we have, the highest, standard of digital technology. But in terms of the industry began to evolve, in early 80s, when it became clear that people can make money, out of making productions. But there was a big gap in between the 80s and early 1990, when the productions that were being done on celluloid had a huge lull. There was no production for a very long time, and that was the gap until the advent of this digital technology.
I think the Nigerian movie industry started way before 1992, when we had the Living in Bondage and Unforgiving Sin, Taboo and all of that. But what happened in 1992 was that somebody just decided to how do I use it, to think out of the box. Someone just says, look, I don't have money to do this. He was looking for sponsors. He didn't get sponsors, and he approached somebody who said, look, can we do this thing since it's home video, something we can just give people to watch at home? Because as at that time, what was reigning was television. Entertainment was just new masquerade, village master, and you discover that people want to kill themselves just to go and watch those. They needed entertainment. Nigerians needed entertainment, and we're not getting it. There were no cinemas. The cinema culture had died. So when it came, it was something. They didn't mean they were not coming to do a wonderful film. They were not going to. They just took one camera and called people. They were looking for quality, you understand? And they did something, and they were not even looking for African market or Nigeria. They did it in Igbo. So it was just for a small market, something you can play out. Because what really pushed it was that there was some guy in about Michael Hediok or something who was doing this thing on VSS and selling. I think it was like Wi-Fi. People were watching it. The guy was a comedian. He was just putting things together. So when Living in Bondage came, it was something top notch. It was something much higher than what they were seeing, and it made so much money.
There is historical detailing of how the industry got to where it is today, and that is the fact that there has always been fame in Nigeria from the colonial times. Films were still being made on black and white, and to when Nigerians started making films, the Olabaloguns, the Wole Soyinka, the Edu Bomas, them films like BC, Daughter of the Rivers, The President Must Die, all of these films were made by Nigerians until, according to them, the economic crunch came in 1983 or so, where a lot of them could not afford the raw stock, for Lions, the Hubert Ogundes, all of them were big filmmakers, the Yoruba Traveling Theatre and all what have you, until that period when government, the economy got bad, that they couldn't continue with the importation of raw stock of films, and that now gave some level of popularity to television. During that era, the booming era for TV, we saw plays, dramas like Hotel in Jordan, their sizes, works like The New Masquerade, Village Headmaster, a lot. Some from the north, how's it called? Cockcrow at Dawn. All of these works were very popular. But after a time, the television industry, which was very popular till about early 90s, also had a downturn. And that scarcity, because Nigerians were already used to drama on TV every day of the week. There was just one TV station servicing the entire country.
I tried to pull in some other filmmakers from Lagos to come and make movies in Jos. And as after I did a movie I titled After School Hours. After School Hours is a story of a baby that was tormenting people in the school, using sweets to get them down and certain things like that, you know. So after that, I proceeded to Lagos, because After School Hours was a movie that had to break a kind of open doors for me. It was one of the best-selling movie then in Nigeria and Ghana, and that was how I got to Ghana through After School Hours, and that's how I married Nigeria, Nollywood and Gollywood together. I'm the first to put them together as well.
One of the things that galvanizes, producers in Nigeria to begin an industry was probably the NTA. At a point, NTA, took a policy decision that if you are a staff of NTA, you are banned from appearing on camera in their programs. And most of the people that were doing productions in Jos, we had telemovies, we had lots of productions, like I talked about Behind the Clouds. There were other productions as well, apart from telemovies. We all featured in that. And we were stars in our own right. So if NTA says don't appear, it means you'll have to, continue. You have a fan base. You have people that like to see you. So there was mass exodus of people out of NTA. And two things had happened at that point in time. The first was some of the productions of NTA had gotten to Alaba and Idumota and were being sold as home video, even before Living in Bondage.
The medium, the format of the Ogunde days is not the same as Living in Bondage. Living in Bondage was direct video, direct digital video shoot. We've had some of our films, like my first film was shot on VHS camera. Ogunde is shot on 35mm. So it was not, when I say commercial, it's that we invented our own style and said, okay, if I don't have money to go and rent equipment as the Ogundes would do at that time, what about shooting it my own way? And that's how we came.
Of course, a lot of things have changed. Technology have made everything different. Of course, when we started filming with Super VHS. We started doing with some people went as far as doing VHS, you know what I mean? But today we have a high and more digital strong cameras that we use to film. Of course, the pictures cannot give you the same result. Do you understand what I mean? And again, also, then when you tell somebody you want to make a film, they look at you like you're a jobless person. Nobody really see there's something in it. Don't forget that before, when you say you're a theater art student, they see you as a dull student who have nothing. But today, parents personally force their kids to go to study theater art because they want to see them on the screen.
Some guy just thought, okay, when government was no longer funding television, and there was this vacuum, this lacuna, and somebody keyed into it, made an Igbo language film on video, entitled Living in Bondage. And that is what is being stressed today as the beginning of the new film industry in Nigeria. After Living in Bondage, several other productions followed, Ashes for Ashes, a lot.
Of course, when I came in eventually that is when I came into Lagos for my own creative journey, when we came in, it was Umatic camera that we met. Umatic camera, the tape alone, heavy tapes. And then from there, we moved to Betacam. From Betacam, we moved to HD, and then here we are now. So I think over the years, what we have seen is improvement. I sincerely feel that Nollywood helped the invention of these cameras that we're using today. Nollywood helped to, open the eyes of the other film producing nations that it mustn't be 35mm actually.
Up north, similar productions from CTV in Kano and NTA Kano or NTA Kaduna were also being dubbed in the markets and being sold, as home video before the advent of home video production. Now, with people getting out of the system of NTA and a market opening, the double barrel attack was the beginning of an industry where people realize, you can actually do a production, take it to the market, and there will be willing buyers. Up north, Turmundenya, that's the name of the production that kick-started home video. With Turmundenya, producers who were working on drama programs in CTV in Kano, came together and made a production and took it to the market. And the market was referred to as Bata because the Bata shop was dominant in that part of Kano. So they took it to Bata and it became a huge success. It actually was earlier than even Living in Bondage. But then, because the academics captured Living in Bondage in Lagos, it was seen as the first major production, that broke the camel's back. So be it, whether you are looking at it from the north or from the west or from the south generally, we'll say that was the beginning of the industry.
Well, I would tell from my own point of view, my own idea can be anybody's problem. You know what I mean? I think that everybody started after Living in Bondage. Living in Bondage was the first English movie that makes a mark and opened door for. Before then, there were a lot of Yoruba films who were actually doing well, like Babasala, Ogunde was doing a lot of things in there. You understand? That is how it all started from their own point. But when the English film blew, that everybody started going. Of course, in the Igbo sector too, we're having a man called Mike Orihedema, who is Solomon Eze, late Solomon Eze. He was one who started doing what they call Akaraka Adamma. Akaraka Adamma is a comedy story that he used the local Igbo to do that, Igbo language to do that. And he started making a lot of impact with Uwezuke. That's a friend of his. They actually worked together, Mike and Uwezuke. They started doing it in a comedy form. Every home, including myself then, as a child, will watch it and enjoy them all, you know what I mean? So, but when Living in Bondage came, it like lifted the ban.
Well, I wouldn't say there were. I was involved in a film shoot first time 1988. 1988 was when I was first involved in a film shoot by some guy then who used to come around to shoot film in Benin. There's another man then called Zigzulu, Azikiwe Okafor, who was also producing some works on video. So you could also call all these ones film that we saw then.
Wunde represents the history of the film culture in Nigeria, not necessarily Nollywood. That doesn't mean we don't recognize their beat. That doesn't mean we don't identify with, what they were doing and all of that. No, we do, and we recognize and accept that you must come from somewhere. And the Ogundes, the what's his name now? Ediu Boma and all the rest of them. They made films, but on 35mm. Not the format that we started shooting the home video films on.
Industry is a hub, where buyers and sellers meet. So producers could, produce productions, and then the end user, that is the audience, could go to the market and buy, and somebody will make some money out of it. That's the beginning of the industry. So early 90s saw us, beginning home video productions. Back in Jos, where we were, me and my senior producer, Matt Dazi, who is now late, we left and formed a company called Epitome Productions in 1990. It was the first, independent production company in my own part of the world. And we worked for a number of years doing a couple of television series, essentially then. That was when we did Riddles and Hopes, we did Change, and a couple of other productions, and before you know it, we also, moved into home video productions as well.
Now, there have been people everywhere. I'm also forgetting a man like the late Fred Amata's father. Fred Amata's father, Amata, was from the southern part of Nigeria. Urobo man, I was also making film. So I don't want to say, okay, this was decided, but predominantly, the first television was started in the West. The exposure they have gotten severally differs from what other parts of Nigeria have gotten. So I want to give it to the West. I'm not saying they started it, but they prominently did that work, business of film.
They are the ancestors of the film culture in Nigeria. They are the ones that made us in the first place expect that something good can come from here, film-wise. And then Of course, wanting to emulate their steps, I'm sure a lot of people, a lot of filmmakers at that time could not make film because of the budget and of course other technical requirements that may not have been available at that time as we have now. So, referring to them, how will I call them our ancestors? That would be great. I don't know what name, to tag the Ogundes, film-wise now. I don't know what to call them. That would be valuable. They represent the very essence of the existence of Nollywood today.
Actors who had, strong stage presence. You cannot take the Ade Love or the Hubert Ogunde theater groups, who had been on stage. They travel, they are always practicing. You cannot match them with the younger generation of actors we have that just watch a couple of Chinese films, or like we have up north. They watch Indian films and they just want to come and dance like Indians and say you want to compare them. But what I'm still saying is these actors are being phased out because gradually boys are being separated from the men. If you don't have anything to offer, you will come and you will dance a little and people will get tired of your dancing and they don't want to see you again.
We all pack ourselves to Lagos. The very first point where we all met was in Aguda, Zebejiro's office. It's in Eniton, off Eniton Street, Olufemi Shokun. I think number 11, because Talela Thompson was living in that number 9. It's just look at Talela's house, one building, then that is Zeb's office, Zebejiro himself. Who is being called the Sheikh of industry, you know what I mean? So after that time, after then, we started struggling, everybody. That's a kind of a secretariat to every filmmaker that's in Lagos. When you're not there, you don't know what you're doing in Lagos then. Till at a point, he tried to move his office, and we tried to look for another point where everybody's going to be meeting. And we move ourselves to a place in 23 roads, that is Ozzy's Garden.
Some guys woke up and invented what we know today as living in bondage. There was no moment of looking for how to shoot on celluloid. They decided to shoot on that format. Clearly, somebody dead and it worked.
One of the areas that you see serious improvement is film is not a profession. You have lots of people that go to school to study film. In those days, parents would even encourage their children to study film. Even those that do theater arts, mass communication and so on were being discouraged. But now parents have seen that it is a profession that is giving food on the table to so many families. So parents, make conscious effort to encourage, their children to study film. But that is in the area of human resources. Technology is one area of great improvement where, film is concerned. Gone were the days when, doing a production, if you are talking about production on celluloid, cine production, you need huge resources. And we hadn't even the lab to process it. You shoot, your footages must go to UK, which is the closest we go to process our footages. And then you have, the answer print, returning. And it takes time, it takes resources. So some of the early films were very difficult to produce, of course, they were higher quality then. But then with technology, it came, and when we were doing productions on VHS and Betamax, the quality was really poor. And you cannot match celluloid. But today we are using, black magic, we're using the ULSA, we're using all kinds of sophisticated cameras that are recording on 4K and even above, 8K cameras, matching celluloid, it is a guarantee that our productions, can be seen anywhere in the world.
So that was how I decided to go to Ghana. I meet Miracle Film, who is the executive producer that his company is marketing my film in Ghana. He said he loved the movie a lot, that the movie did great in the market. Why don't we do something to bring some Nigerians and Ghana to work? I said, why not? We can actually do that. So we started talking about that. So I left back to Nigeria. One time like that, he had to call somebody to call me, because then they used mobile phone, but Nigeria, we don't have mobile then. I'm talking about 1996, 97. So then he called me through somebody that they want me to come to Accra. I got there, back with one marketer then, who today is no more here, Universal Quality Pictures. He's outside the country right now. He's no more into the business, I think so. I and the guy went together, and we sat down together to talk about the project, and we agreed. Let us see how we can team up to marry these two countries together in making films. How do we do that? We have to bring our stars and some Ghanaian stars. Then the Ghana stars we had was a lady called Akofa Asiedu. Akofa Asiedu, then Nat Banini, Emmanuel Ama, and who again? This woman they call Grace Naughty. Those are the major stars they have. So what I did was to bring some of them, merge them with our people, and we went to Kumasi in Ghana to shoot that film. And we shot the movie title Visitor, Asimo, Remember Your Mother. That was the first 3 we shot.
And there are lots of films that are out there today, from even Hollywood, that is not shot on 35mm. It's because of Nollywood. So we've improved, and we've also inspired technology. We've inspired science to invent more and better cameras.
This whole thing started on celluloid, and cine production was a little bit different from the way video productions are done today. Cine productions, because of the huge cost in buying your raw stock, you don't want to take chances. So rehearsals are more vigorous. Production, the script must be tight. Sometimes you have to do, you sketch out your shooting script, with all the details, before you even want to record. So production was of higher quality and higher standard because of the amount of resources that go into that production. Then came VHS and Betamax VHS tapes and cameras. And by then, the people that came into film production were novices. You cannot handle celluloid production unless you're well trained. Most of the filmmakers of the early days were trained in the UK or in US, so they came with high standard of filmmaking. But with the advent of this cheap technology, it became an every commerce affair. Young people just came to express themselves. They hadn't studied film, so they were doing all kinds of rubbish when it started early. But with more knowledge, with another shift from a generation of filmmakers, mainly Igbo entrepreneurs who were investing in film without knowing what it is, they just want to make money, to the advent of a time when young filmmakers who had gone to school are beginning to come into the industry. That's why you have the old Nollywood and the new Nollywood now. You can see that the production values are getting higher. So there is a gradual return to high standard.
What is easier today is that when you tell somebody you're doing production, you say you're doing auditioning, people understand what auditioning means. But then when you say I'm auditioning, I want to call actors, you want to sit down, you rehearse for 3-4 months, only doing rehearsals. But today, you give people script, they sit down and look at it. A lot of things as innovation has come into filmmaking, making it better today than that time. That time, we don't care nobody's too money conscious like what it is today. You call an actor to come and do a film. First of all, it's considered he's having an opportunity, a platform to showcase his talent. Well, today, the first thing they ask is, what do you have for me?
We came and created the film industry. It wasn't Nollywood was not created by government. Nigerians made this product. This is the only product made in Nigeria by Nigerians for Nigerian market, but the whole world is consuming. So it's when the world got interested in our business that we said, okay, they are saying our sound is bad. They are saying our picture is bad. We now knew there was a market that we needed to, and then we had to improve. We had to improve, and we're still evolving. Nollywood is not even up to anything near being there yet. We're not there yet. We're just coming. Maybe we've gotten about 5% arrival. We still have 95% journey to go.
Today, with the advent of cinema culture, or re-emergence of cinema culture, cinema went dead, in between that lull period. But now it is being revived. We have multiplexes in different places, especially in Lagos, where you have lots of cinemas and people are patronizing them. Technology helps cinemas. The quality of what you watch in the cinema, especially the 3 Max cinemas, is really fantastic. So there's a huge improvement in terms of the technology, both the recording technology and the exhibition technology, the projection technology. And then now we are also having interface with the international market for film.
If we send 10 movies to the cinema and 2 made it, is that a pass mark? The cinema in Nigeria is still in a very bismarck state. Yeah, we are praying that more cinemas will come up. We've still not gotten that business right correctly. So it's not wrong to say that people make more money in the cinema. The cinema will give you more opportunity for aggrandizement, for fees, for showing up. It's not true that everybody really make anything serious on the cinema.
I want to believe that they're not helping the industry too. And the whole idea is to encourage the filmmaker to say, okay, this film industry must grow. You do a film, they look at it, and they say, this thing can fly. Let's put it there. But what has happened, from what I've heard, in recent times, I've not taken any of my films to the cinema. I'm hoping that by the time I do one, I'll take it to the cinema. But what I've heard from people is that they have some selected brand. They have a cartel. They have some people that they think their films can go. So they tell you there's no space. For those ones they give good time. If they don't like it, they give it in the morning and the midnight. You understand? When they know people won't come and all that. So these are the challenges that they've been having. But the solution, if you ask me, is that we need more and more cinema houses in Nigeria. In every economy, you go to the US, even in India, they have thousands of cinemas. They have community cinemas.
If you look at it, when Nollywood started, you will say, this is rubbish, this is garbage, and you can throw it away. But with time, with knowledge, with new entrants, with better technology, we are beginning to go to the cinema, sit down, watch a movie, and make sense out of it. So there is improvement, but gradually.
I was surprised, really, when the cinema boom started. I was shocked. I was taken aback a bit. I didn't believe that Nigerians, the way they were tongue-lashing Nollywood films, I didn't believe they could go to the cinema to see the films. Because those days when we go out, I'm a film producer director, really? I don't really like Nollywood films, really. But today, people are liking those films, and that's also because we've improved. We've really, really, really improved. You know, we've improved seriously. I've seen series of Nollywood films in the cinema, and I enjoy myself watching them in the cinema.
You see, the difference between the North and the South, where this star syndrome is concerned, is that the North is yet to have cinemas. There are no cinemas in the North. You have just a single, modern cinema in Kano. And Kano is the hub of film production, in the northern part of Nigeria, which is the Ado Bayero shopping mall or ShopRite that has a number of cinemas with seats there. Outside that, there is nothing. The nearest to Kano is Abuja, and you cannot even claim Abuja is the north. So if without cinemas in the north, you are still dealing with people who are dealers in video, VHS and DVD and VCDs. These are the people we're talking about. Or you are dealing with video rental houses.
So that's why the challenge is, so we have too many films struggling for the few, slots in the cinema houses. But the thing is improving. You understand? We have close to 30, and other people are still building cinema houses. But we'll get there.
Where, people go and just play some video and you watch it on television. That's what you're dealing with in the North. So it is not as sophisticated. The growth of the industry is still lopsided. It is yet to catch up in the North. If we are to have cinemas in the North, you are likely to have people that invest in the cinema, also investing in bringing people that understand the business of cinema to make them run those cinemas. You are likely to have distribution companies.
We went into the cinema business because we felt that there was a room for such an industry. And we started our first project in 1969. Our first project was Square Rafa Cinema Jos. It was received very well, and cinema business actually grew in the 60s, late 60s, 70s, 80s, and then thereafter it started going down, mainly because of the advent of videos and CDs, etc. The Northerners were very receptive to cinema business, and they were very receptive to Indian films and Chinese movies. And I think one of the main reasons was because cinema was one of the very few avenues for entertainment. Now, why we stopped showing films was because of the Boko Haram.
I think it's a cabal thing that is running that is running the cinema industry. But that's also because the practitioners have not been able to, organize. We've not organized ourselves in such a way that the cinema owners will not take advantage of, the fact that they have monopolized the market. I am not comfortable personally that they dictate content. I'm not comfortable personally that they dictate for you even actors that will feature in your films.
Generally, I will tell you that filmmaking is all about business. It is big business. It is about investment. It is about making profit from your investment. So it is about return on investment. There are structures in filmmaking business, and the structures are mainly, production, distribution, exhibition. These are the three pillars of filmmaking. Now, producers can produce films, but for who? For a market. To get to that market, you need distributors. At the end, that's in the marketplace, you have the exhibitors. These are the cinema owners. The cinema owners are busy studying, the people that come to watch cinema or watch movies. They know if a particular face, shows in a movie, people will buy lots of tickets. And if other faces are there, people will not buy tickets. So they will naturally tell the producer, if you want to make money, get us these faces, that's how to get money. So it is about investment. It is not unique to Nigeria alone. It is everywhere in the world.
Nothing has changed from their end. So it's all about the money after all. But again, the viewer is only going to go and view what you give him or her to. But as long as it's a good film, I think Nigerians will enjoy it. So if this world will hear, if they will hear what I'm saying right now, they should change and realize that what we need is good film, not comedy alone. Not comedy alone. It should have other elements.
In the trans-Saharan trade era, so you have Hausa speakers, on that route, and that is what film, is right now serving. It is following the same channel, getting to those huge populations, and that is how people are making money in Hausa language, and that is the reason why Hausa films don't have to come down to the south. In the south, they will come and compete with Yoruba films, compete with Igbo films, compete with English films. But this route they are following, they are competing with nobody. So it is an open market, it's a virgin market they are tapping, and they're making their money, so they don't have to come down to the southern part of the country.
For me, I think there's no need for all this segmentation. All of us can come together and do this thing, so it gives it a lot of power.
It's just like when you go out there, when you go to Europe now, America, you'll be proudly called a Nigerian. And Nigerians, whether Hausa, Yoruba, they relate well as Nigerians. But come back home, we begin to divide ourselves. I'm Yoruba, I'm Igbo, and so it's a Nigerian thing. And I have also said to my colleagues, we must realize that Nollywood is a micro-Nigeria, and that we can use Nollywood to reshape and indeed get Nigeria together to become a nation. We're not a nation yet, and Nollywood was not also created by us, as in the name was not given by us. In fact, when the journalists who researched on the Nigerian film industry and all of that came with the name Nollywood, it actually was a derogatory statement on the derogatory tag on the Nigerian film industry at that time. So in our bid to refute, no, don't call us Nollywood, it's stopped. It's stopped. That's why you have the Yoruwood thing. The Yoruwood thing is because at that time, when they called us that, they wanted to differentiate themselves from what we were doing and all of that. But it stopped, and there's nothing anybody can do about it.
I don't know why we always want to take time to be comparing ourselves to what we are doing here to what is going on in Hollywood. Let's build our own and leave Hollywood to do their own. Must we go and get a place and call it Nollywood? I don't subscribe to all of that. Let's just grow the business of filmmaking. Let's continue with positive programs that can attract more attention to the black cinema. We all must not produce or direct Black Panther to get that kind of relevance. So that's what I want to look at, the area I want to look at it from. Alaba is on his own. But none of these eras have been able to create the kind of synergy and development that the industry needs. The industry is still some isolated, disjointed business that no group of people will be able to come together to advance. Unfortunately, during the time of VHS, the same complaint. VCDs and DVDs came, same complaint. The cinemas are here now, the same complaint. So year in, year out, we are where we are.